So I left Team USA in 2016 because of political reasons. In the U.S. program, like a lot of programs that you see, there's favoritism, there's politics, and the whole program was being rewritten to favor specific athletes. And so my realistic shot of getting a chance at an Olympics wouldn't have come until now had I stayed in the U.S. program. So because I have dual citizenship through my father, who immigrated here legally as a citizen way back in the 70s, I had dual citizenship through him to go and compete for Jamaica. Now, this was a unique experience because Jamaica, unlike bobsled, had never had a skeleton athlete, so it was my chance to make history as well. So when I got to the Olympics, I wasn't only just there for the first time, but I was the first Jamaican ever to compete in Olympic history in that sport in a Winter Olympics ever. And so with that honor came a lot of hardships, because when I joined the Jamaican team, I thought I was going to be accepted. I thought people were going to appreciate me, and they hated me. So this is where the whole myth
your teammates and coaches, or
my
the citizens,
teammates, my coaches, the citizens, and this is where the myth of white privilege broke for me, because I was mistreated and abused by people of color from a country that I belonged to through inheritance, but they didn't accept me because they said, because I'm from America, I'm so-called from this bougie lifestyle where I have everything because I come from the land of prosperity. So in my Olympic season, I was left out of group chat meetings. I had funding withheld from me. I had all of my races and training sessions taken away. And then I had no funding whatsoever. Everything was given to the bobsledders, all the housing. I had to house myself. I was kept away from everybody else.
You had to spend your own money?
I had to spend my own money. And it was literally coming down to decisions every day when I was running out of money. Am I going to feed myself today, or am I going to train? And with the little money that I had, I kept going to training. I had lost 16 pounds in about 2 months. My parents, both my mom, dad, and my siblings, I have 3 sisters, all took up part-time jobs and were literally working themselves to the bone just to put money in my account so that I could keep going. So it was a very trying time. And as an athlete, I was going through the mental trials of whether or not this was worth it or not. And then not only that, but then there's this personal guilt that I see my family literally struggling as it is, but then actually struggling and adding to that because they believed in me and this goal that I had. Watching my dad work 2 part-time jobs on top of being a full-time pastor, watching my mom work a part-time job at the time, and then, having her go through that. My sisters working double shifts, triple shifts, and then everything that they did was all just would come into my account at that time. And then I was overseas in Germany. I ran out of money. The Jamaican team was staying at a really nice posh place, so I secretly reached out to one of my teammates that still liked me, and I was like, I am out of cash. I have nowhere to go. All of my friends are literally leaving to go to European Championships tomorrow. I said, can I just stay with you for a night? 2 nights, and I just need some place to sleep so that I can, stay safe. And this was in Utah. Let me correct that. So I go to the place that they're staying at, and in the night, one of my teammates that hated me, and she was sabotaging me, saying all this stuff to my federation so that she could have a better chance at qualifying and more chances at getting funding from the federation than me, because she wanted to be the only one that qualified that year. So when I show up there,
so they basically thought, real quick too, is they think that just some privileged American is rolling in and is trying to take opportunities away from the nationals that have worked their whole life and actually represent Jamaica, and they felt like you were basically just a fake Jamaican, just worried about yourself. So don't give him money. Don't give him your time. Make his life a living hell.
Exactly. And instead of them actually doing that, they did it in subtle ways, like I had explained before, taking certain things away, making it harder so that I would quit, rather than it being obvious that they were trying to do things to make it, to literally work me out, to say. And so, you fast forward a few nights, and then I go there. Throughout the night, the federation grabbed the team, and they bust them out to Canada. And when I showed up there, nobody was there. For 3 days, I slept under a porch in the middle of winter in negative 20-something degrees in Utah. It got so bad, I broke into the track in Utah, climbed up to the ski jumps with the thought to jump. And in my last little phase of glory, I called my dad with like 4% on my phone left. And then I'm just in tears. And I'm like, Dad, I'm like really struggling. And I was like, is this what I'm supposed to do? And, he told me, he's like, I was praying for you and God told me that you were in trouble. So what's going on? And I told him everything as quick as I could with as much phone power that I had left. And then he said, you can be in the center of God's will and all hell breaks loose. Don't quit. And then my phone cut out. And then, the next day, the answer came, but in a weird way, the police show up. All of my stuff gets ransacked because people in the neighborhood were just like, someone's living under the porch. And the police came, and then I told them the entire story, and their first response was just like, Dag, your federation is some ass. I can't say it. I was like, they some bad people.
Man, you might as well say it. We can bleep it out because you were getting to a point where you thought you'd just end it.
Yeah.
That's like you got they messed you up so much that you thought about like it's not worth living anymore.
And this, John, is the first time that I have told anybody that. Mm-hmm. I have literally kept a lid on it because, my dream is to still get into one more Olympics, because after that Olympic experience that I had, I have a really big chip on my shoulder that I really want to go and like get some revenge on some people athletically.
Well, and that's why I appreciate you bringing this up too, because it's even tough to bring this up in just like an intimate setting with people and there's no cameras or microphones around. But here, what do you think? Because you're a godly man. You talking about your dad's a pastor, and in moments like this, you're trying to figure out value and worth, and just trying to stop this roller coaster that you're on. Mm-hmm. Like, what gave you that peace and that sense of value?
Well, peace didn't come in that exact moment. I mean, it did, because it was nice to hear that, I was on somebody else's heart when I hadn't said anything. They spiritually were aware of what I might have been struggling with, or something was wrong and something wasn't happening that should have been. And what changed for me was when I finally got home to feel the love and community of the church is what got me through it. And then when I was able to get to the Olympics, when I looked back and saw how God provided every single step of the way, when I had prayed for something, God had put it on someone's heart, and this is the answer that came here and there. And what that taught me was that I got a lot more grit in me than I gave myself credit for. But that's the story of Olympians worldwide. We take time, years away from family. We miss birthdays. We missed holidays. We miss life with the people that we love and grow up with, for not just an opportunity, but for the chance, which is a bigger margin that you might miss. Just the chance to get to represent your country someplace. And then the suicide rate, the depression rate, the anxiety rate, the medicated rate, amongst Olympians that spend everything, because you have people like myself that are in their 30s that have been doing this for years and never made an Olympics, that now basically have to start their adult life from scratch. And it literally is so intimidating at times. And so when I finally made it there, I had finally come to a place where I said, you know what, God, I'm here, which meant that all of that time that I spent praying was worth it, because I'm able to say that you got me here. And that's the testimony that I was given from that. And that's what I use now. And so through sports, I feel like athletics teaches you a lot about yourself as an individual, because it's all about pushing limits, and it's all about breaking mental barriers about what you see as physically possible to be done, to work hard to make what you know as impossible to be possible, which is why you hear, we love March Madness because of all the Cinderella stories that we hear of small colleges that practice fundamentals and aren't about flashiness, that, come down to like big pressure moments and they shine better than all of these other D1 schools. The same thing in football, the same thing in the Olympics. It's all about the personal journey of the individual, who then puts it into a unit that unit then functions together. And it teaches you a lot about life. And so in that, what I learned as an individual going through that was that this was the journey that God put me on. And I learned a lot about myself, but I also saw him in a lot of areas too. Being able to travel through Europe, through Asia, Canada, and the United States. One, I got to see more places that he's created, interact with a lot more people. And, it taught me more about the world that we know, rather than just seeing it through most people, like how they do through like a phone screen.
And I know most people are just getting to know you now through the Breakaway podcast that might not have heard of you before, but it's hard to think about someone like you that would have their spirit so crushed. Because, dude, guys, I know you're just tuning in here, but this guy right here is just one of the happiest people I've ever met. So when you hear a story like this, where it's like you're just joyful all the time. And I think there's so much importance in telling a story like this, because it's like anybody can be going through something where it is so dire, where you're wondering if I even have value anymore. You gotta love what you just saw, right? You like your sports without the nonsense, sports without the woke. You can get plenty of that if you head over to our YouTube channel, go to the Breakaway channel, press subscribe, press like on every single one of those videos, smash it, hit it out of the park, let's go. It's awesome conversations, great content. And also, if you're on Instagram, you can follow us at TPUSA Breakaway. Appreciate y'all. Peace.